Well, the obvious place to start is the actual structure of the building. I was trying to touch onto the Arch de Triomphe, Notre Dame and Hauteville House, although perhaps Hauteville House has kind of got lost in there a little bit. But so you've got the overriding sort of structure of Notre Dame with the big signature rose window in the middle. And then, yeah, it's just throwing the references on top. I mean, at the top of the house here, these two urns is something that I noticed in the dining room of the house. There's the huge, it springs out in my mind, is the huge tiled H, which I've tried to capture with this sort of structure. And then on top of the H with these two sort of urns, which I've then put in here. Obviously, I've played around with what's on the urn, you know, kind of touching in some of the mythical sort of stories that have appeared in a few of his writings. Hanging off this one is Quasimodo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. These griffins here is actually a reference to a short story of his. It's one of the last ones that he wrote, and I can't remember the title of it now, but it was a play on sort of the role of religion and the place of the clergy and stuff like that, and he actually used the clergy to represent them as griffins, so I've kind of got that. So you've got these griffins with with bishops' hats on, which is there. Ego Hugo is actually his own motto, his own personal motto. This lady here is justice, blind, and I think social justice is a theme that, you know, pops up again and again in Victor Hugo's work. And probably one of the easiest references here is the prisoner number from Les Mis. And then moving downwards, we have the four crests. These are the four crests of the different regimes that are important to Victor Hugo. You know, sort of France, and then after the revolution, and then when he fled to Guernsey, and then after he's back in France again. And we have here the famous gargoyle from Notre Dame. Candles I've included quite frequently actually throughout as well, because there's an overriding theme in a few of his of light, and sort of the candle is a sign of hope, and I think the guy was quite a hopeful guy. Moving downwards, here he is himself. I tried to sort of have him in this window because in Hauteville House, I really liked the spot where he did his writing, standing in that beautiful window overlooking St. Peter's Port. So I kind of tried to capture him at his writing desk in the middle there. These emblems either side are a little bit sadder, but that's the astrological chart of the birth of his eldest daughter, who tragically died on her honeymoon in a rowing accident, and her death was a big impact on him and his writing and his life. So I think that needed to be acknowledged. Moving down, we have in the windows, we have Voltaire, who was someone whose writings had a big impact on Victor Hugo. And here is his mistress, who followed him to Guernsey and was with him throughout his life. His wife, I've left absent, you know, because I felt that, I won't say any more about that. And then in here, the windows, we have two of the main characters from Les Mis, you know, in the prime positions, because that's his most famous work. What else do we have? Here is the man responsible for his exile in Guernsey, Napoleon III. I mean, these little things here is just when I was walking around the house, I mean, I was blown away with all the details, and I've tried to sort of capture little things that I saw in the house. For example, these two pigs I saw on the wall, so I've thrown them into my wall. And in fact, the stork up here is a very prominent reference. When you first go into the hallway, there was a fantastic sort of wallpaper with exotic animals, and up on the wall I remember seeing this stork, so I've thrown that one in there as well. These pillars are a reference to the Albert Dürer piece, which was the inspiration for this piece in a way. It's the Triumphal Arch, which is in the British Museum. It's one of the biggest screen prints ever produced, and yeah, I felt that obviously as an inspiration I needed to put a reference to them in, so I've put those in, although with a little Victor Hugo touch. These dragons here are sort of, I think at the time, you know, there was a lot of Orientalism, and you know, people were excited by sort of Chinese culture and putting things like that in their houses, and Victor Hugo is no different, so I've sort of referenced that here with a couple of Chinese dragons. In the house, in here in the middle, I have left deliberately kind of a dark space with that candle, like I was saying about the hope, you know, kind of like that's his interior, that's my feelings about the man himself and what's going on inside him. I think he was quite hopeful, and he wanted the world and life to be better, and he was all about sort of championing the poor and such. So yeah, this candle is sort of hope in the middle. This gentleman here holding a drawing, actually this is my copy of one of Victor Hugo's self-portraits by Victor Hugo, so sort of acknowledging the fact that as well as a fantastic writer, he was also a pretty fantastic artist. And here we have an artist, drawing here. For the Guernsey reference, we have a couple of these donkeys' heads. I found that quite funny when I was in Guernsey. I remember in the market square there was a huge bronze donkey, and I was asking, what's this about? And apparently Guernsey people refer to themselves as donkeys. So, I'm not sure why, but yeah, so maybe you guys are stubborn, I'm not sure. But yeah, so we've thrown some of those in there. What else have we got? Round the windows, a little motifs to some of the themes that keep coming up in his work, like death, religion. Up here we have the sort of the popal hats and stuff. Work, hard work, and sort of putting things around the outside. As I say, I was allowed to be a bit more playful with this piece, so I've kind of included some references, some puns on, his obviously being French. So there's, some giant snails, some giant frogs jumping around. Just why not? So we have obviously the original drawing, but for this piece, I was really blown away by the decorative element of the house with the wallpapers, and I felt that it would be remiss of me not to sort of reference them somewhere. So I've created this huge wallpaper which the piece is sat on as another layer of reference to the house. It's always nice to sort of do new things with projects for myself. At the end of the day, I do make work for people to view, but I've got to enjoy it myself. And the wallpaper was a way for me to take the work in a new direction and sort of, just keep pushing things for myself and sort of try new things. Oh, the daughter. Yeah, this is a portrait from a locket that I found of the daughter, the one that tragically died. These dates are the dates of her demise. A fun little fact is the prisoner's number up here is actually, according to Victor Hugo, is the date of his inception. Inception? Conception. Yeah, conception. Anyway, I think that's everything.